in our country. It's happening so quickly, and people are losing their jobs. Something that wasn't even planned. I mean, I can imagine when they started the year 2020, people had plans of, oh, I'm going to buy this house, I'm going to buy this car, I'm going to build this. But then COVID came around March,
yes.
somewhere around there,
yes.
and everything went upside down.
COVID had been since last year.
Of course, but right here
when it arrived home, when he came home, arrived home.
Please don't say he came home.
And that's part of where we missed it, because we should have prepared.
Exactly.
Yeah, we should have prepared.
We thought it was for them over there.
And it wasn't gonna.
We were overly confident, because you see, during the time of Ebola, it came, and then within a short period of time, we recorded no more cases. So we just felt, oh, Africa, we have this grace, so we have this, we're so resilient, the weather and all that, and this is really, taught us a lot of lesson.
Okay, this is a time when many people are not finding things easy, but the reality is that there will be losses across board. Finance, jobs, and even relationship. Right now, some people, money is now defining how they relate. How can people cope? You did mention before we went on that quick break that you start with yourself.
Yes.
Okay, how can we start with ourselves?
The truth is, like I said, that quote is by a man called Viktor Frankl, a psychiatrist who existed during the time of the Holocaust. And it was really, really a tough time. And he discovered that people who survived were those who had to adapt and change themselves. So the truth is, if, for example, you say that you have so-so goals for the year, and something comes up, you lose money, you lose certain things, due to circumstances. What do? You have to adjust the goals. So in the same vein, when things become tough, what you do is to adjust yourself and try to adapt. There's a quote by Charles Darwin that says that it is not the most intelligent of species that survives. It's not, the richest. It is those who are most adaptable to change.
So the word is to be adaptation.
Yes, adapt to the new normal. Don't say, oh, I'm not, for example, now's the time that people are doing businesses online. Don't say I'm not an online person.
Okay.
Stop limiting your capacity. Do you understand? You don't know what you're capable of doing. So all you need to do is to, because in the face of hunger and poverty, just like we always say in this part of the world, that hunger begets, talent. When you're hungry, you discover skills that you did not even knew you had before.
You endowed.
So yes, so unless a man is willing to jump off that cliff of fear, you will never discover that you have wings to fly. It's when it's in the process of jumping that you now just, oh, I can actually do this, I can do that. Yeah. So it's inevitable all over the world, and I'm glad that this is not even peculiar to Nigerians.
Yes.
All over the world,
yes,
a recession is. They say recession is looming, but I think
recession is already in recession.
Yeah. So now, for example, if you go out there, what do you see? You see a lot of people selling face masks. What does that tell you? People are adapting. 6 months ago, you will not see that. So people are beginning to adjust. Okay, what are the things that I can do? And now we've discovered that food is very essential.
Yes.
Food, we can't survive. When we were on lockdown, we discovered that it was food that was a major problem. So what are the things? What are the new businesses? I had a friend who told me last week that he's beginning to think of a plan B, because he's already envisaging that they're going to lay them off.
Interesting.
Wow.
And that's good. And if you see in economics, there are three motives of keeping money: the precautionary, the speculative, and the transactional.
Okay.
The precautionary is for times like this, when for example, you fall sick. You don't plan to fall sick.
Nobody
it just happens. And when it happens and you become hospitalized, what happens? You have to cover that money. That money has to come out. Definitely. So it's quite unfortunate that we didn't plan for this. But rather than being proactive, now we have to be reactive. And so we need to start adaptation is the key word here.
Interesting.
You don't say you don't know how to do this. Learn. In the process, you discover that it's not rocket science. In the process, you start getting better. You start adjusting. Since this COVID has started, like I always tell people that, you see, what is difficulty to you, it's an opportunity for someone else. If someone dies, for example, the family mourns. but the person who sells the caskets, he
business.
smiles to his bank account.
True.
Do you understand? Since this pandemic has started, the founder of Zoom has recorded over $4 billion.
That was a platform people were not used to.
Sincerely, I wasn't used to Zoom. I knew it existed. I was using Skype. But I've learned how to use Zoom. Why? I was forced to adapt. Now this is the time where most of us we're multi-talented. But some of those talents we just keep and we concentrate on the one.
Only one.
So now is the time for you to re-strategize. What else can I do? Wow. Rather than complain, go to the drawing board. What can I really do? This is a time that you need to really adjust.
Adjustment.
And you need to also be thankful if you're alive, because people have died.
Yes.
People have died. Statistics say that even in the United States that a lot of us want to run to. So the United States is recording over 25% of the global...
The entire world.
The entire world, you can imagine. But over here, we're quite lucky that the numbers is not, pretty
compared
high.
to other countries.
Yes,
to other
and
countries.
if you do the math, if you look at now, it's about 6, when I checked today on NCDC, it was about 645 people who have died, as opposed to about over almost, let's say, approximately 29,000. If you do the math, it's not even up to 3%.
Yes, exactly.
It's not.
Yes.
It's not to 3%. So this is really, really. It's not a death sentence. But as regards finances, this is the time for us to adjust and begin to, think like there's no boss.
All right. When you talk about coping with the finances and every other thing that's happening during this COVID-19 period, how do you just said something now, focus on what you think would make you successful during this period, and having talent and leaving some things and focusing on some things. But how about people who do not really have any other thing to focus on? How about people who just know what they do in the mornings, wake up, go to the office, come back, sleep, eat, that's their daily routine. And then maybe their boss is like, what, because of the period, we can't go on, lay them off. People like that, what do you think they can do?
There's a saying that you never know what you're capable of doing until human beings are like tea bags. It's when we get into hot water that,
the content comes
it brings out our best. Robert Schuller will say, when you think you've exhausted all possibilities, you haven't.
Okay.
There's still something you can do. So for those people who've actually programmed them like they're now stereotyped to just, go to work, come back, you understand? This is the time for you to start thinking, if you lose that job, what would you do? Wouldn't you eat? You would. So, and then you have, most of them are on social media. So what are you using with your social media handles? Most of them have one dream or the other, one skill or the other that they've perhaps buried. For example, a man could be a pianist. He could be skilled, with playing a musical instrument, and he does that only on Sundays, at church. Now it's time for you to start looking at that skill that you have. What can I do with this?
Is it possible to sell it?
And if you see, even online now, you have a lot of courses that are free that you can take. And if it could be tough for some people, I admit, that could be really tough.
Yeah.
But now is the time for you to even prepare for the new normal, whenever all this will end. Because the truth is, they're still going to lay off a lot of people.
Yes.
Companies have discovered that we really do not need all the amount of people.
The situation has thrown up new ways of doing things and saying, so we could run with even fewer hands.
A lot of companies are cutting off the excesses. So if you can look into the future, if you can predict, you discover that, your job is not even guaranteed any longer. So why don't just look for a plan B and start nurturing that dream and start nurturing that pursuit? I've actually taken 2 courses during this process, during this pandemic, online. I had to subject myself to, studying online, even though it can be difficult. But like I said, hunger will always be the motivator.
Okay, like in Nigeria, hunger brings out the talent.
Yes.
So doesn't a lot of talented people here were pushed by hunger to...
Yes, Basket Mark actually said that he never knew he was this good until he was really hungry. And that's the truth, because you see, we tend to relax when, for example, you recall that the day your salary hits your account, there's a feeling of...
There's natural...
She can relate.
Finally, okay. Yeah. Okay, let's go for a quick break.
Yes, all right.
We'll come back, okay? We still have Tosin Morgan.